Now, let's talk about the race that is going to start it all at Monaco in the F1 series. So, talk about what we need to keep an eye on and a little bit of what happened last time out.
Yeah, as predicted, Max Verstappen and Red Bull were back to fine
No.
form. Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? The gap clearly has been cut, though. Max actually needed a tow in in qualifying to be able to top Lando Norris, to be able to get the pole position. Lando Norris started second on the front row. Through a tire run, though, Red Bull still just seems to have the advantage after the start. Within a handful of laps, Max Verstappen had broken the 1 second barrier, so Norris had no chance to use DRS and couldn't catch up to the back of him. And he stretched out that gap to quite a bit. Where it got interesting, though, was at the end when Verstappen and Red Bull switched over to the hard tires. And it was at the end of their stint on the hard tires where McLaren and Norris just did a much better job throughout that stint managing their tires. So Verstappen's handling was falling away. His lap times were getting slower and slower. Norris was consistent and cutting the gap, and got to within a second by the finish. So it was still a Max Verstappen dominated day. He led 60 of 63 laps, but underneath the covers, the McLaren upgrades genuinely seem to be the real deal now. Now, keep in mind, this week we go to a completely unique track where, like North Wilkesboro, there's absolutely no passing. So your starting position does not matter as much at any other track as it does at Monaco. It is a tight street circuit that was started, I think it hosted its first race for Formula One back in the 30s. It's extremely narrow, extremely technical. It's a joy to watch the cars race around there, but it's impossible to actually have them race. So whoever gets off the line first, whoever's got that pole position, it's likely going to be Max Verstappen, though Norris might sneak it in, maybe somebody like a Charles Leclerc. I think there's the potential there. But still the favorite is going to be Red Bull and Max Verstappen. Those who want to see a more true representation of exactly how close McLaren is and exactly how close Ferrari is in that three-way fight for the top, you're probably going to want to wait until we actually get to Spain, which is not the race after Monaco, but the one after that. That's, I think, where we're really going to see Red Bull face a true tough test. Not to say that it couldn't happen at Monaco. The chances of it are that Max is going to start on pole. Red Bull's won 4 of the last 5 Monaco Grand Prix. Verstappen has won 2 of the last 3. Perez won the one in 2022. So I think Red Bull is your top choice. Second choice, probably actually Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc of Ferrari, Lando Norris of McLaren. But again, just wait until qualifying. But the problem is with Formula One, once they qualify, especially at a place like Monaco, you basically know who's going to win. So the odds are going to reflect that.
Well, since 1986, only one driver has won at this racetrack outside the starting top 3. That's just nutty.
You have to be on the front row. You absolutely have to be on the front row. You could, even if you start second, if you're able to get out front, you can hold up the entire field because it's just so difficult to pass. You can dictate the race exactly what you want to do, and nobody has a choice. Nobody can do anything about it. It's not even hard to drive defensively at Monaco because it is so hard to pass there. So it's really whoever gets off the line first. Obviously, the pole position's got the advantage. They're likely going to be Max Verstappen.
Yeah, he's been on the pole in every race, right?
Not this year. Let's see here. When was the last time he was not on pole this year? Give me a second and I will find that.
Because his qualifying odds are plus 160. Lando Norris is 260, and so is Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, I take that back. He's been on the pole since every race this year. It started. His current streak started back last year. What was I thinking?
So Now, it's nice to see, by the way, his driver odds to win the race is down at minus 200. That is a very reasonable number. But here's the deal. Even though it's come down that much, wouldn't it be just better off to go plus 160 to qualify in the pole? Because, like you said, if he's going to, whoever's going to win the race is more likely going to be on the pole.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like these odds for qualifying significantly better than the race. I would go with the Norris or Leclerc there. Honestly, probably Leclerc. It's his home race. Ferrari, he knows the track really well. Ferrari is up there with McLaren and Red Bull, probably even McLaren and Ferrari at the moment. Red Bull still with the advantage. So if there's anybody that can hustle it around Monaco, I think Leclerc and the Ferrari might be your guy.
Okay, so Verstappen is minus 200, Norris and Leclerc are plus 550 to win the race. And then the usual suspects after that. So, yeah, I just think even though it's tempting to take Verstappen at minus 200, because the lowest I've seen is 500, I believe, this season, that based on this specific track, it just, I don't know. I mean, qualifying, the guy hasn't not been on the pole all year. Plus 160 is very tempting. So
it would be interesting after qualifying to see if that goes to negative 500 or something more if he's on the front row. It'd be wait to see where Verstappen qualifies versus taking the minus 200. If you're going to go with somebody early, go with the Leclerc or a Norris at the plus 550. But if you do want to bet something on Verstappen now, I would do it for the qualifying.
Okay. And are you willing to take any of these drivers that, winner without Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Aston Martin?
Nico Hülkenberg, yeah. Yuki Tsunoda's
He's
had
about
a pretty
3 to
good
1.
run. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda's had a pretty good run. Been seeing some progress with that team. Nico Hülkenberg has just been so consistently good. More about his teammate. He got called to the stewards again. Didn't get any points. Didn't have any penalties, but he did get called to the stewards again. I think Haas has been the surprise based on where they practiced or where they tested prior to the start of the season versus where they've been finishing. Significantly better than expected, and Hülkenberg has been very consistent.
I'm surprised Verstappen is minus 500 to finish in the podium. I mean, you would think it would be like 1,500 or something like that.
Yeah, well, probably betting that he doesn't finish. If he doesn't win, he doesn't finish. Maybe
that's it. Okay, so there you go. I guess the other thing too is obviously this is a good day to if you want to do some, 3 race picks. So,
yeah, good parlay.
Would you do? So, what would you rather do? Would you rather do, if you had a choice to do just Verstappen to win the race or qualification based on the odds, which one would you do?
Well, if I was doing it as a parlay, I would take it for the race. Based on the odds, I would go for the pole.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Put in, because again, you're not going to get a whole lot on the parlay, but the higher you invest in it's something. And it's not like it's, again, minus 500, minus 200. So it's like adding on maybe a few extra dollars, and it's Max Verstappen. So it's a pretty decent, and it's the first race, which really helps you, because if something weird happens, you've got the other 2 races to make it up. So
exactly right.